1. I was working as an assistant manager at a local KFC, where I worked for roughly 2 or 3 years. I have some very good memories from this place, as well as some really funny stories. We became severely understaffed at one point, and my general manager at the time left to work for CC's Pizza, another local chain. Because of this, I was left in charge of the store until they found or decided on a replacement for him. After probably 3 months or so, during this time tensions were high due to our staffing issues, and I was given a raise for holding down the fort and keeping the store open despite most of the employees walking out on me one night. They finally sent us help. A guy and several of his employees from a local store located about 40 minutes away. Some of the things to understand about this store: it was located in a very wealthy neighborhood and subsequently had very wealthy employees. Anyway, new manager Mike comes in and immediately starts barking orders at everyone. Obviously no one is listening to him, but when I tell them to do the same exact thing, they get it done post-haste. He asks me why they won't listen to him, but will listen to me, and I explain to him that they aren't here for the money, they're here for the experience. I remind him that they are driving Ferraris to work and that he needs to be their friend and their boss. In other words, earn their respect and they will respect you. He agrees to let up on them and try it my way instead. He did listen to me and did start to earn their respect. Then he turns on me and starts demanding stupid and ridiculous things around the store, most of which are related to late-night cleaning, which he knew I didn't do myself and didn't have time for with deposits and whatnot. I got admittedly pissed and told him to fuck off. After a few weeks of this, and a serious amount of stress over the last few months, I decided to put in my 2 weeks' notice. At this point, I had already started looking for a job elsewhere and had several offers on the table. I took a job about 2 miles up the street at a local Burger King as their general manager. I ended up working a lot of late shifts because we were understaffed for those particular shifts. This was fine, but it also meant closing the front by myself, mopping storefront, locking doors, etc., while my cook closed the back of the house. I didn't really pay much attention at first. Hell, it was barely noticeable, but at the same time, every night, the same car would park in the front lot facing the store and just sit there for hours on end. I honestly thought it was kids making out or something at first, but that clearly was not the case. I was always the last to leave the store and set the alarm. One night, the second I lock the door behind me and start to head to my car, the engine turns over in the car at the front of the restaurant. It startled me, so I looked over, but all I could see was the headlights and the car didn't move. I hurried to my vehicle and started to drive away. The second I left the parking lot, so did the other car. My drive wasn't particularly far from home, but I had this gut feeling that it would be a bad idea to head there. I start down the very empty 1 a.m. highway and switch into the left lane with the guy still following behind me. After a minute or two at 10 to 15 miles above the speed limit, I decide to switch into the right lane and drastically slow down to see if he will pass me. The guy also switches over and slows drastically down. Now, I'm not stupid. I know when I'm being followed, and at this point I'm scared. I grab my almost dead phone and call my husband. I frantically spout off what is going on, and he tells me to drive to the police station, so I start heading in that direction. I don't know if this guy caught on to that or not, but right before we hit the road the station is on, he blows by me at an insane speed and keeps driving. I turned around and went home. Fast forward the same week, and I see the same guy sitting out in the parking lot again in the same car. This time, I called the cops right away at the urging of my cook and my assistant manager. The cops showed up and get the guy to come out of the car. It's Mike from my old job. He tells them that he wasn't doing anything wrong and developed a crush on me from our time together at our old job and just wanted to say hi. They did not arrest him, but told him to get out of there, loitering, and put enough fear in him that he did not show back up again. 2. Let me preface this story a little bit. I'll call myself Beebs and my brother Duke for self-preservation. Me and my brother are adopted, both from different families at different ages. He was horribly abused before he came to our family, but he was only 2 and doesn't remember any of it. But it did its damage. He has explosive anger, as well as being a compulsive liar. He'll make up stories that supposedly happened in the past, saying that our adoptive parents abused him, that he was never treated fairly, and that they only tried to buy his love. All bull, mind you. Our parents are the most gentle and loving people I've met. They kept him housed, fed, dressed for all his life. He is now 26. When he was in high school, he used to cut his arms for attention, all superficial wounds. Never even had to get stitches. In other words, he's kind of a drama king. We aren't sure if he is bipolar or has some form of autism. He never wants to cooperate with therapists or doctors, so he's never been diagnosed with anything or medicated. Now let me clarify, we love Duke. My whole family has loved him since the day he joined us. He is quite eccentric, but we've always appreciated him for his differences. Even though he has violent outbursts, we've always just accepted it for what it is and moved on. Now, onto the story. About 6 months ago, he started dating this woman, we'll call her Nia. She is 10 years older than him and has 2 children, ages 16 and 10. Their relationship as a whole is an entirely different story, so I'm just going to skim over that. But basically, she takes a lot of opioid pain medication and started giving him some. He has an addictive personality, and he is spinning out of control. He took a belt to her son because he was talking back. He is constantly getting and getting rid of dogs, by no fault of their own. He says that they are misbehaving, but really they're just reacting to how he is behaving. In June is my father's birthday, so one evening we went out to dinner to celebrate. My brother was messed up in some pain medication. He tried to deny it, but we could tell we aren't stupid. The dinner ended in a yelling match between my mother and Duke. My mother forced him into the car and drove him to the hospital, but he refused to go inside. He probably didn't want his girlfriend to get in trouble for giving him her pain medication. Eventually, his girlfriend came and picked him up, and they went home. During the next few weeks, I get lots of messages from both my brother and Nina about their fights. Apparently, they think I can help them. They need to talk to a therapist or marriage counselor, not me. Their relationship continues to spiral out of control. Nina is apparently trying to get pregnant during this time. Supposedly, she succeeds but miscarried. Now, this could be true, but I'm getting major drama queen vibes from her, and really just think she's trying to rock my brother's boat. They go on a road trip, and I get a call from my brother. He's screaming and crying and telling me that Nina is walking down the highway opposite the traffic and refuses to get back in the car. I tell him to calm down and beg her to come back. Eventually, she gets back in the car and they head home, and all seems well. About 2 weeks ago, the shit show starts again. Apparently, Nina is pregnant again, but threatening to get an abortion because my brother, according to her, doesn't deserve the baby. I don't know why she got off birth control if she was just going to do that, but let's move forward. Duke calls my uncle, tells him that Nina was punching herself in the stomach and that he left furious. He drives his truck into a pole right out front of the hospital, saying he was trying to kill himself. Fortunately, there was a mental health facility right across the parking lot, and he gets voluntarily admitted. But after the 72-hour hold, they release him. He remains medicated on whatever they prescribed until the bottle runs out, because he lost his insurance after that and didn't deem it necessary to go and take the steps to remain medicated. He doesn't stay out for long, though. Just a few days after that, he is readmitted, but involuntarily. The details are a bit unclear to me. The cause was from another fight between him and Nina. During this stay, he is compulsively lying to the therapists, not participating in the activities, and making a fool of himself to my entire family. He refuses to see Nina, or take anything she tries to deliver to him, such as cigarettes. My uncle and cousin go to visitation to talk to him. The conversation lasts for about 3 minutes before he freaks out and leaves. We find out that he has sold all of my grandfather's rifles, who passed away about 10 years ago. My aunt is in agony, knowing that she has lost family heirlooms because of my brother's stupid decisions. The next time my uncle goes to visit, he threatens to kill my parents, as well as snap Nina's neck. Present day. My brother is due to be released this afternoon. There's still a 22 missing. Duke says that he's going to go to a homeless shelter and get his dog from Nina. Then God knows what's going to happen. Pray for us. 3. I work with my family's restaurant business in the middle of a downtown college campus. It's usually pretty nice here, a sanctuary city with an increasing population of all kinds of people from everywhere. We get business from a lot of local office workers and college students, as we literally really are right in the middle of downtown. Our building is quite small and located next to a food cart pod and an abundance of other food options, but our building is quite unique. It stands out in a crowd of tall buildings and apartments. Big, bright neon restaurants, kind of like the old man's house in the movie Up. Well, we've been in the building as a business for almost 4 years now. Our business is booming and getting busier every day. Even now that we've opened a sister restaurant on the other side of town, people just like our food a lot, I guess. We haven't had many big serious issues with customers or crime in the area really at all, other than the occasional homeless population coming in and out to steal silverware, or take a few cans from the recycling bin so they can make some money. Here's a layout of the place for context. The first floor of the building is the restaurant area, the house, the kitchen, storage room, all that. The second and third floor upstairs from the restaurant is residential. They're both currently a bed and breakfast. They're not super often empty, but the third floor is the undeniably more popular space for guests to stay. The whole building is owned by my sister and her husband, and they run everything by themselves for the most part. I work in the restaurant portion of the business. I don't officially have the manager position, but I'm more or less assistant manager, as I'm related to the owner and a lot of upkeep responsibilities fall down to me. One random day I went into work. I am a pretty serial late shopper, but that day I was about 20 minutes late, and I had texted my manager beforehand but received no response. I didn't think anything of it, as sometimes she just leaves me on red a lot, especially when it comes to letting her know I'd be coming into work late. I live only a block away from work, so I left at my own time and walked across the back parking lot, which I do every day. I noticed my sister's car parked in front of the restaurant. Odd. She's never usually up there in the mornings. I then noticed her husband's van as well. I knew something was up. As I walk up to the front door, my sister walks out with her 2-year-old son in her arms and looks at me, completely unbothered by the fact that I'm about 20 minutes later than my scheduled time. I tried to apologize to her, and she didn't even respond. The second thing I saw as I walked into the restaurant were 2 policemen interviewing my manager. I asked my sister what happened, and she only said, "Someone broke in this morning." WTF? I continued inside the restaurant and made it into the kitchen area, where everything was completely hectic. 3 orders on the line and no one to make them. I quickly tried to manage everything while waiting to hear from my coworkers as to what had just happened before I walked in. Apparently, the night before, 3 men broke into the second-floor bedroom window by breaking off the air conditioning unit. They found out because one of the guys stumbled down to the restaurant, just half an hour before I showed up, to ask if we had a screwdriver or an access key to the second floor, that the AC unit was broken, and that he'd be able to fix it. My manager told him that she'd be able to fix it herself and that it'd be okay, considering it was random and the dude was acting quite sketchy. He led her to the side patio that's technically connected to the restaurant but also is connected to 2 of the windows inside the bed and bath unit. The AC that was connected to one side of that window was fallen over and hanging off the window while the window itself was open and the net was pulled out. She looked at it, and upon further inspection, she noticed another man sleeping in the bed. She freaked out and called my sister right away to ask if anyone was supposed to be in the unit, and she said no. The police were called. By the time they showed up, however, the 3 men were all gone, only missed them by 5 minutes. Those guys left behind a box of instant coffee and left a few dirty dishes. Peculiarly, the one sleeping in the bed had made the bed before leaving the premises as well. We knew they were going to come back based on the stash of instant coffee, just didn't quite realize it was going to be literally later that same day. My sister's husband and the police kept in contact for the rest of the day. A forensic fingerprint person showed up to take any evidence he could find inside of the bed and breakfast unit, as well as outside in the patio area, and when they left, they had apparently left the lights on. Around 8:30 p.m., my sister's husband texted me, asking to go upstairs and turn off the lights when I get the chance. It was a busy dinner service and I was closing, so I didn't eventually get going upstairs until around 10:30 that night. Luckily, my sister showed up to drop off some groceries just a few minutes before that, and had plans to go to a bar with her husband, so she stuck around inside the closed restaurant while she waited for him. I told her I'd go upstairs to turn the lights off as per her husband's request. She said okay. I went through the digital code door, grabbed the key from inside the key lock, and went up to the unit door. I had a weird feeling in my stomach at this point, but I'd been working all day, so I assumed it must have been just that. I've been inside the unit before. There was nothing to worry about. In the back of my mind, I should have known, and maybe asked my sister to come up there with me in the first place. But I really just thought this was going to be quick and easy. It was not. I unlocked the knob and turned. No budge. The door was deadbolted. This isn't the norm. They almost never deadbolt this particular door, or really any of the doors in this building except for the restaurant's front door. Didn't think much of it at the time. Maybe the forensic scientist locked the door real well before he left or something. Deadbolt seems fine. I reach up to unlock the deadbolt, and for some reason the knob became locked again. I thought to myself that was odd. Maybe the deadbolt has a weird locking mechanism that fucks with the knob, and that's why they never deadbolt the door. I unlock the knob again, but now it's deadbolted and won't open. Out of frustration, I grab the knob and start trying to force it to unlock. It won't budge. My brain immediately flipped a switch, and I unconsciously took a step back to stare at the knob. In my head, I knew it wasn't going to move. There's no ghost in that room or anything like that. The knob is fine, and the door is just broken. The knob moved from the inside. Immediately, I ran downstairs to the restaurant and asked my sister to come up with me. For some reason, my first instinct was that there must be a ghost inside the room. Whatever it was, I didn't want to go back up there alone. The second time around, as we walked past the patio, I noticed something. The lights inside the bed and bath unit were off. But I haven't gone in there yet. That's when it clicked for me. Someone is inside the room. I walked back up to the door, now with my sister standing right behind me. She acts annoyed, but I could see in her eyes that she knew something was off. I tried to unlock the door one more time, but only this time I went for the deadbolt first and the knob after. I guess the person on the other end wasn't quick enough because I managed to get both locks unlocked. However, the door still wouldn't budge and the knob wouldn't turn. That's when I realized someone was deliberately turning the knob the opposite way, the inside, so that I wouldn't be able to get in. We called the police immediately. The next 45 minutes were quite chaotic. My sister's husband showed up with his pistol ready to throw down anyone inside the unit. But turns out that the dude in there got woken up by me trying to enter and just continued on with his life. He got up and watched TV. This was observed through the patio window from which he entered illegally, where my brother-in-law was standing. A few minutes later, about 4 cop cars showed up, then 6, then 8, and a dog. The whole block was blocked off, and we were gathering a crowd of people watching as a group of policemen raided the building. The dude in there hid from the police for a while and wouldn't surrender. Obviously, eventually he did, as there was only one exit, and that was the door. 2 if you count the window he came in through. But there were multiple police on that side as well. We come to find out not only was he literally just turning the bed and bath into his permanent living space, he also made himself comfortable with the building and took a few beers from the second-floor employees-only storage unit. He was hauled off to jail under a burglary and breaking and entering trespassing charge. Apparently he's just been released, and my brother-in-law has to go to court this Thursday to make a case for himself. Guy claimed to investigators that he really thought the building was his house. Who enters their home through the side window, but okay? And probably got off on a mental illness release kind of situation. Don't really know. But he came back today and I saw him again, leaving the building from the patio area this time, on my way to work. called a few people and gave everyone a warning that he's been let out, and is still trying to find a way in. The hope here is that we should never meet again, random dude in black hoodie who broke into my work's bed and breakfast unit. But as it seems you might come back again soon... Hey everybody, Hellfreezer here, and thank you very much for listening to 3 True Scary Stories, episode 479. And thank you very much to everybody who allowed me to use their stories in this video. I think it took me about 10 times before I got that right there. I completely just could not make my brain work. Hey every freezer buddy here, hey everybody. No, that's not right. Hey you guys, no, that's not right either. I am the god of hellfire, I bring you fire. Well, it's catchy, but that doesn't sound like me. Just couldn't make it click. You know when that happens. You know, I was sitting there thinking, and I was like, hang on. Then I was suddenly filled with a surge of panic. And I thought, crap, did I forget my niece's birthday? Because I forgot my sister's last month. But no, I didn't. It's not till next week. And I've already got her a card anyway, so that's not so bad. Don't want to get in trouble again for forgetting birthdays. Well, okay, and with that, I'm going to head off for now. So until next time, thank you very much for listening, and take very good care of yourselves.